If you'd asked me on a Tuesday, any Tuesday, how my marriage was doing, I'd have told you we were fine. Solid. Comfortable. Not the fiery romance novels talk about, but steady. Reliable. Like an old truck that creaks a little in the cold, but still gets you home every night. Tabitha and I had a rhythm. Saturday mornings mint coffee and mismatched mugs, her sitting cross-legged on the couch in my hoodie, flipping through home improvement magazines she never actually used. I'd read the paper or pretend to while mostly watching her. Sometimes she caught me, gave me that look. The one that said, "I see you." And that used to be enough. Used to be. But this Saturday was different. The air in the house felt off. Not stormy, just hollow. The kind of silence that isn't peaceful, but suspicious. I sat in my favorite chair, drink in hand, staring out the window at absolutely nothing. No chores, no errands, no plans. She'd left that morning for a weekend wellness retreat, upstate. Yoga, hikes, juice cleanses. That sort of thing. She didn't ask if I wanted to come. Didn't even pretend it was something I'd enjoy. She just packed a bag Wednesday, kissed my cheek Thursday, and by Friday night, I was a bachelor with a ring. And that ring? It was starting to feel heavier by the hour. I must have zoned out because the doorbell yanked me back into the present like a rude alarm. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, my daughter, Susanna, stood there in a long black coat, her expression unreadable. "Hey, Dad," she said, the smile not quite making it to her eyes. "Hey, Susie," I replied. "Wasn't expecting you." "Yeah," she muttered, brushing past me. "I know Mom's not here." That landed like a dart. Inside, I offered her a coffee. Some tiny ritual to delay the inevitable. She said yes. I made hers just the way she liked it. Caramel macchiato pod. The machine hissed. The silence hissed louder. "So, Mom," I started. "Yeah," she exhaled, staring at her shoes. "Mom." She sipped, then looked up. "I figured I'd check on you." Now, here's where things turned. She didn't come to comfort me. Not really. She came to deliver a story. And not even a good one. According to Susanna, this trip wasn't a fling, not cheating, because Mom told me about it. She was honest, my daughter said, like that was a virtue. I nearly laughed. Honest? She told me she's spending 3 days with a guy from the gym, sharing a hotel room. That's not honesty. That's cruelty with footnotes. She'll be back Monday. Things will go back to normal. I looked at her, really looked. She believed that. Believed the person who raised her, who baked cookies and stayed up late for school projects, was still in here somewhere, not out there tasting a different life. I said, calm as a lake before a storm, "No, the marriage is over." Her eyes widened like I'd just declared war on a family dinner. "You're overreacting." And that's when I said it, without flinching. "Do you know how to spot a tsunami?" She blinked. "What?" "When the tide pulls back so far you can't see the ocean anymore." That's not calm. That's the warning. She didn't get it. But she would. She came back Monday evening, right on schedule. Coat still crisp, makeup barely faded, hair pulled into one of those relaxed ponytails that still managed to look rehearsed. You ever watch someone enter their own home like it's a vacation rental? That was Tabitha. Glanced around like she was checking for updates. The dog barked. She smiled. I didn't. "Hey, babe," she said, dropping her keys in the bowl. "Miss me?" I gave her a look that said, "Don't do this." But she did. "I brought you something from the gift shop. Local honey. It's infused with lavender. You'll love it." She placed the jar on the counter like it was a peace offering and not a prop in the stage play of our marriage. I picked it up, rolled it in my hand. "How was the seminar?" I asked, keeping it neutral. She hesitated. "Just for a breath. Relaxing. A lot of mindfulness. Some light journaling." I walked past her and sat down at the kitchen table. Was Julian mindful too? She froze. Like a movie still. Then came the laugh. Soft. Nervous. "You talked to Susanna." "No," I said. "I talked to your calendar app. You forgot to turn off syncing." The hotel name was familiar. Her shoulders dropped a little. Not guilt. Not panic. Just resignation. Like she'd been expecting this conversation and rehearsed all her lines. "Look," she said, sitting across from me. "It wasn't supposed to go anywhere. I just needed space." "Funny," I said. "I always thought space was something you asked for before you let someone else make you breakfast in a hotel robe." That one landed. She didn't argue. Didn't deny. "Are you leaving me?" she asked. And I said nothing. Just took a slow sip of the coffee I'd brewed an hour ago, now cold and bitter, a perfect metaphor if there ever was one. Because if this is about No, I interrupted. This isn't about this. It's about the 15 months before this. When your smile stopped reaching your eyes. When you stopped finishing stories you used to love telling. When I became background music to your real life. She blinked fast. The kind of blinking people do to avoid crying or confessing or both. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you didn't try not to, I said. That's when her voice cracked. Not a sob, just a soft fracture. So what now? Now. Ah, yes. Now is already in motion. I'll be out by the end of the week, I said calmly. She looked confused. You're leaving? But I was the one who No, I said, standing. You left first. I'm just catching up. Then I reached into my coat pocket and placed something on the table. A flash drive. She stared at it. What's that? Footage, I said, butting up. From the camera I installed in the garage. Catches the side gate. Your getaway spot, apparently. She didn't touch it. You watch me, she asked. I paused in the doorway. No. I watched who you thought I was. That guy? He deserved to know. The lawyer's office smelled like pine-scented floor cleaner and defeat. The kind of place where dreams go to get documented and dissolved. I sat on one side of a fake oak desk while a woman named Diane, gray suit, clipped words, no nonsense, clicked her pen and said, So you're filing first? I nodded. Any kids? One. Grown. Assets? Some. She can have the juicer and the espresso machine. I just want the cast iron skillet and the dog. Diane smiled almost. I've had Messier. Give me time, I said. She handed me a packet. Fill this out. Bring it back with the signature. Once we serve her, the clock starts. I stared at the paper, then asked, Is it weird if I feel calm? No, she said. Weird is thinking this is still fixable. Back home, the kitchen was clean again. Her default move. Polish the crime scene so no one suspects a thing. She was on a Zoom call, earbuds in, pretending she hadn't been caught 3 days ago feeding someone else breakfast in the robe I bought her for our 10th anniversary. I placed the papers on the counter. She didn't look up. What's that? Closure, I said. She glanced down. Her face did that thing, confused, indignant, amused, all at once. You're divorcing me? I'm just finishing what you started in that hotel room. She pulled one earbud out, but didn't move. I thought we were going to talk about this, she said. You talked. With him. All weekend. That's not fair. I laughed. A real, honest one. Tabitha, you cheated on me in the middle of a catered retreat and came home with essential oils and alibis. I'd say I'm being very fair. Later that day, I met my daughter for coffee. Neutral territory. Susanna sipped her latte like she was bracing for a weather report. Mom told me, she said. I thought you were just mad. I didn't think you'd actually leave. She was engaged in an entirely different relationship. I'm just not pretending anymore. She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. But you guys have been together forever. And for the last year, I was basically furniture she stopped dusting. That stunned her into silence. Then she said something that stuck with me. She always said you were the safe one. I nodded slowly. That's the problem. People don't lock their safes unless they're hiding something. Susanna didn't have a response. She just sat there, stirring foam into circles. That night, Tabitha texted me from the other room. Do we have to do this now? I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my laptop, pulled up the footage from the garage cam, and watched her leave the house Friday night. Red coat. Overnight bag. That bounce in her step I hadn't seen in years. And in the footage? She kissed him at the gate. Not a maybe kiss. Not a slip-up. A kiss with history behind it. I hit pause, closed the laptop, and sat back. Not angry. Not broken. Just done. It's funny the things you notice when you finally stop lying to yourself. 3 days after I filed, I stood in the hallway staring at a dead fiddle leaf fig tree. Thing cost us $160 and a half hour of arguing in the nursery parking lot. She said it gave the room life. Now it stood there in a beige ceramic pot, dry and brittle, leaves curled in on themselves like it had heard one too many secrets. I used to water it every Saturday. Then she said I was overwatering. So I stopped. Apparently, so did she. That plant had been dying quietly for months. Just like everything else in that house. The kitchen sink was full of dishes. The same wine glasses from book club the week before. Only I found out later it was just her and Julian. No books. Just Merlot and backhanded compliments. I stared at the glasses for a full minute. One had a faint lipstick mark. Not her usual shade. A bold red she once called too much when I tried to buy it for her birthday. Apparently, it wasn't too much when Julian was around. I washed the glasses. Not for her. For me. Because I needed the room to stop smelling like sour grapes and stale lies. I scrubbed until my knuckles went red. Then I wiped down the counter. Then the cabinets. Then the fridge handle. Somewhere around disinfecting the toaster, it hit me. I wasn't cleaning to impress her. I was cleaning the crime scene. That's what our house had become. A place where something broke. And I was the poor fool who stuck around after the yellow tape came down. 2 days later, Tabitha started leaving post-it notes. At first, they were logistical. Don't forget the trash is Tuesday now. Therapist's number is on the fridge. Just in case. Then came the emotional ones. I'm sorry for how I made you feel. I know I broke something. I don't know how to fix it. You were never boring. I left them where they were. Didn't acknowledge them. They weren't apologies. They were breadcrumbs. She was hoping I'd follow the trail back to her. But I wasn't lost. I was walking away on purpose. That Friday, I went up to the attic. I don't know why. Maybe I was chasing a version of myself I'd boxed up years ago. The kind that still believed anniversaries meant something and wellness retreats didn't end in betrayal. The air up there smelled like cardboard and time. I pulled open the trunk with our wedding album in it. Beneath that was a shoebox full of old letters. Real ones. Ink on paper. Back when she signed things with hearts and I responded in terrible haikus. I sat cross-legged on the floor and read every single one. At the bottom of the box, tucked between 2 old Polaroids, was something I'd forgotten about, a folded index card. On it, in her handwriting, were 5 rules we wrote together the night after our honeymoon. The rules. No silent treatment. No sleeping angry. No lies bigger than a movie spoiler. Say, I love you even when we don't feel it. Us first. Always. I stared at that last one for a long time. Then I folded the card back up and slid it into my wallet. Not because I still believed in it, but because it reminded me who I used to be and how far we'd fallen. That night, I ran into Julian. It wasn't planned. Just bad luck. Or good timing, depending on how you look at it. He was at the grocery store, right by the produce aisle, trying to decide between 2 brands of almond milk like his calcium intake was the most pressing issue on earth. He didn't see me at first, but I saw him, and I watched him. He moved like a man without consequences. No ring. No guilt. Just khakis, a tucked-in polo, and the casual smugness of someone who knew he was winning for now. I stepped up next to him. Quiet. Calm. He turned, startled. Oh. Hey, Adam. His voice cracked. Just slightly. I looked down at his cart. Strawberries. Spinach. What are those little bottles of overpriced kombucha? You're shopping for both of you? I asked, nodding at the cart. He blinked. Yeah. We're trying to eat better. I let that hang in the air. Then I said, just make sure she doesn't get bored. He stared at me like he wasn't sure if it was a threat or advice. Honestly, neither was I. I didn't wait for a reply. I walked away. When I got home, she was on the couch with her laptop. Candle burning. Soft music playing. Like she was starring in a commercial for Second Chances. You okay? She asked. I nodded. I saw Julian. She froze. Did you? No. Just groceries. She exhaled. I never wanted it to end like this. You mean honest? Her jaw tightened. You were always so good at making me feel like the villain. I didn't argue. No point. The guilty hate nothing more than a calm accuser. Are you moving out? She asked, quieter now. Next week. She nodded slowly. Do I get to know where you're going? No. Tabitha blinked twice. Maybe it was shock. Maybe she'd really convinced herself this was all reversible. I stood at the door. I meant it. You know, she said suddenly. I turned. When I said you weren't boring. I looked her in the eye. Funny, I said. You'll be amazed how interesting I get when I stop playing safe. Then I walked out. Not with a bang. Not with tears. Just a quiet resolve and a plan forming in the back of my mind. One that didn't involve forgiveness. Because revenge doesn't always come wrapped in rage. Sometimes, it's slow, silent, and tailored. The new apartment was nothing special. 1 bedroom. Slight lake view if you craned your neck at just the right angle between 3:15 and 4:10 p.m. before the sun dipped behind that one obnoxious apartment complex with the rooftop ping pong tables. But it had 2 things I didn't have in the old house. Peace. A door I could lock without wondering what was happening on the other side. I moved in on a Wednesday. Didn't even tell Tabitha. She came home to an empty drawer, a note that said utilities paid through August, and the dog bowl missing from the kitchen. She texted 3 times. I responded once. Don't worry about the vet records. I transferred them. She's registered under my name now. There's something both terrifying and exhilarating about starting over when you weren't the one who lit the match. I bought new sheets. Gray. No patterns. Just solid, clean gray. I bought one plate, one mug, one fork, one spoon. Minimalism wasn't a lifestyle choice. It was a declaration. I don't have to make room for anyone's crumbs but mine. But I did keep one indulgence, a smart home security system. Front door camera. Motion alerts. Cloud storage. It wasn't paranoia. It was preparation. Because if Tabitha taught me anything, it's that trust is a luxury. And luxuries don't come cheap. 2 weeks into my new life, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Adam Kessler? Yes. This is Carla. I'm Julian's ex-wife. Now that was a plot twist I didn't expect. I got your number from someone who knows your wife. I hope that's okay. I'm not calling to cause drama. I just think you should know what's been going on. I stepped out onto the balcony. The lake was flat and gray. Appropriate. Go ahead, I said. And she did. Apparently, Julian had a history. The pattern kind. Carla had been through it already. Romantic gestures, poetic lies, 1,000 reassurances wrapped in silk. Turned out, she and Julian divorced after he had an affair. With his dental hygienist. I just wanted you to know, she said finally. It's not you. It's not her. It's him. He builds fires he doesn't know how to keep warm. I thanked her. She sounded surprised. Most people don't believe me. I do, I said. Then I hung up. That night, I opened the laptop I hadn't touched since the move. The wedding photos were still there, untouched in a folder called Always. I renamed it, once. Then I opened a new folder. This one I called Exit Strategy. Inside went screenshots of the texts I'd found on her backup phone months ago. The hotel footage from the garage cam. A photo I took of the engagement invitation she'd hidden in her dresser drawer. Why? Because every magician needs a final trick. Mine was timing. I didn't want revenge in the traditional sense. No shouting. No throwing things off balconies. No telling her friends while holding back tears in the middle of a dinner party. No, I wanted the kind of revenge that smelled like closure and sounded like silence. And I wanted one more thing, the truth to be useful. So I sent an email to Carly Whitman, Julian's boss at the ad firm. Subject, professional conduct, internal matter. Attachments, 2. One was a time-stamped image of Julian and Tabitha leaving the wellness retreat together, hand in hand, at 9:41 a.m. on a day he was supposedly presenting to a client across town. The other was a screen capture of Julian's auto-reply email from that day, claiming he was out of office due to illness. No message body. No explanation. Just the receipts. I didn't sign my name. And I didn't check back. Because sometimes, all it takes is a nudge to collapse a house of cards. 3 days later, Tabitha called. First time since I moved. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was short, breathless, too calm to be calm. I think we should talk. I didn't call back. She texted an hour later. Something happened at Julian's job. He's upset. Did you do something? I stared at the screen for a long time before typing. You once said I was too boring to notice things. You were wrong. Then I turned off my phone. By week 5, my apartment had become something I didn't expect. Mine. I learned how to enjoy silence without suspicion. I started running again. I got a plant, a cactus, naturally. Low maintenance. Unlikely to betray me. And then one afternoon, while browsing for new bookshelves, I saw her. Tabitha. In the parking lot of a coffee shop, leaning against a car that wasn't hers. Arms crossed. Head down. Alone. I kept walking. Past her. Past the bakery. Past the memory of who we used to be. She didn't see me. And that was fine. Because here's the truth. She thought I'd fold. That I'd wait. That I'd be a good man in the face of bad decisions. And that was for a while. But eventually, even the safe ones stopped standing in the fire. Sometimes, the soft ones learn how to cut clean. Sometimes, the man who used to fold his socks learns how to disappear perfectly. It had been nearly 2 months since I left. Not stormed out. Not collapsed in heartbreak. Just left. Quiet as a candle burning out after everyone's gone to bed. Most people think disappearing is the hard part. It's not. It's staying gone that requires discipline. She tried to keep me on the leash. One message every few days. Harmless on the surface. Hope you're okay. Thought you'd like this recipe. The neighbor asked about you. Each one was a fishing line cast from a boat already sinking. And I wasn't biting. I deleted her contact photo, but her name still flashed across the screen like a memory I hadn't quite buried. One morning, she tried a different tactic. Can we talk? Not about us. Just, I miss my friend. That one made me pause. Because once upon a time, that's exactly what we were, friends. The kind who laughed in the middle of home improvement disasters and made fun of pretentious wine labels in the grocery store. But that version of us had been packed away long before I moved out. So I answered, your friend doesn't live here anymore. That was the last time she texted me for a while. Meanwhile, things on her side of the fence were starting to crack. Julian had gone radio silent after the incident at his office. From what I'd heard, thanks to a friend of a friend with a taste for gossip, there'd been an HR meeting, an awkward resignation, and a partner whose name was removed from the company website with suspicious speed. It didn't take much imagination to guess what had happened. My anonymous email hadn't burned the building down. It just turned the lights on. And once people see the mess clearly, they stop stepping around it. Tabitha, as it turns out, didn't like mess. Which is probably why, one Thursday morning, she showed up at my apartment. She knocked like someone who wasn't sure if they were welcome. She wasn't. I opened the door a crack. There she was. Same coat. Same perfume. But she looked smaller now. Like her voice had lost its script. I didn't think you'd answer, she said. I didn't say you could come in. She blinked. That caught her off guard. I thought maybe we could talk. In person. About. She hesitated. About what we're doing. I stepped out onto the landing, shut the door behind me. Made it clear this wasn't a reunion. This was a boundary. We aren't doing anything, I said. She crossed her arms, defensive already. So that's it. You're just rewriting history? Acting like none of it mattered. No, I said. I'm saying it did matter. And then it didn't. She flinched like that line stung more than she'd admit. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Repeatedly. That's different. Her mouth tightened. You're not blameless. Never claimed to be. I just didn't trade my vows for weekend room service. She looked away. And for a moment, I thought that might be it. That she'd turn and walk away and let us both move on with some dignity. But no. Instead, she whispered, Julian's gone. Not surprised. She blinked. You're not even angry. I was. Now I'm just done. She studied me, trying to find the old Adam in the new silence. You've changed. No, I said. You just never expected me to stop waiting. She didn't reply, just stood there, arms crossed, looking like she was trying to figure out what she'd lost. I didn't offer to help. That night, I got a message from her sister. I don't want to get in the middle, but she's not doing great. I stared at it for a while. Thought about how many times I wasn't doing great and no one noticed. How many nights I stared at the ceiling while she stayed late at work or needed space. Funny how empathy shows up after the wreckage. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a legal pad. At the top, I wrote, things I've learned. And I started making a list. Not about her. About me. I like my toast burn a little. She used to fix it. I hum when I wash dishes. I don't hate silence. I feared what it revealed. I used to fold in arguments just to keep the peace. Not anymore. The man she left behind? He's not waiting at the door. He's building something better. By the time I stopped writing, the page was nearly full. And I didn't feel angry. I felt ready. A week later, I mailed her the final papers. No note. No flourish. Just a clean signature and the kind of clarity that doesn't need a conversation. 3 days after that, I got a letter in return. Handwritten. Classic Tabitha. Inside, she wrote, I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect this. You were always quiet. Steady. Predictable. But somehow, you leaving, really leaving, was louder than anything I've ever heard. I miss who we were. I folded the letter once and dropped it in the drawer with the wedding album. The one I hadn't opened since I renamed it once. Because here's the thing she never understood. I was never quiet because I was weak. I was quiet because I was thinking. And now that I'd thought everything through, I was done being her echo. She invited me to dinner. Not us. Me. Said she just wanted closure, which, in my experience, is what people ask for when they didn't get to control the ending. Against better judgment. And because I wanted to see what her version of closure looked like, I agreed. We met at the little Italian place we used to love. Same corner booth. Same flickering candle between us. But everything else? Different. Her smile was thin. Polite. Like she was interviewing me for the role of person she used to love. I ordered pasta. She ordered wine. And then she tried to talk about the past like it was a vacation photo album. I miss this, she said, gesturing to the table. You miss not feeling guilty, I corrected. She tilted her head. Why are you being so harsh? I'm not, I said. I'm being accurate. She set her glass down too hard. You used to fight for us. No, I said, calm as ever. I used to fight with you. Big difference. The check came. She reached for it. I let her. She wanted closure? She could pay for the remains. The divorce finalized on a Tuesday. The letter from the courthouse arrived with zero ceremony, just a bland envelope with a date stamp and a sense of finality. It was anticlimactic in the best way. That night, I went to the bar alone, not to drown sorrows, but to toast survival. I ordered one drink. Nothing fancy. The bartender, a woman about my age with tired eyes and a kind smile, asked if I was celebrating something. Kind of, I said. My marriage died. She blinked. Congratulations? That's the tone, I smiled. I didn't say her name. I didn't need to. Tabitha had become more memory than person, more lesson than loss. I toasted the quiet, the solitude, the freedom from tiptoeing around a woman who stopped seeing me long before I saw her clearly. Then I went home, slept like a stone, and for the first time in a long time, I dreamed of nothing, which, oddly enough, felt like everything. Weeks passed, then months. And just when I stopped checking the rearview mirror, she messaged me again. Not a how are you or a just wondering. No, this one was the Hail Mary. I miss you. I made a mistake. I want to fix it. Please just talk to me. I stared at it, thought about replying. Instead, I printed it out, slipped it into an envelope, and mailed it back to her with a sticky note attached. For words. Return to sender. He's gone. Here's the thing no one tells you about revenge. If it feels satisfying, you've done it wrong. The best revenge isn't explosive. It's not cinematic. It's not about blowing things up. It's about erasure. Not deleting them from your life, but deleting who you were when they had power over you. I never badmouthed her to our friends. I never posted cryptic quotes online. I never even raised my voice. But I did one thing that haunted her more than anything else. I became completely unreachable. She thought she broke me. What she didn't expect was that I'd take the broken pieces and rebuild something better. Quieter. Smarter. Stronger. She lost access. Not just to my home. Not just to my heart. But to my reaction. And people like her? They don't know what to do when they can't get a reaction. So while she sat there crafting paragraphs and excuses and what-ifs, I was outside, walking the dog, under a sky that didn't ask questions, and with a peace that didn't need permission. And that was the revenge. Not her tears. Not her regrets. Just me. Alive. Free. Untouched. And completely unavailable.